Mother,
beloved.
before you get underway, and I know you're excited, I have to read
for no
something.
reason, just because we're alive and we have God.
Well, you're going to be really excited because we received this morning, and this is an email from Dan with a picture. And it says, I was surfing YouTube yesterday, and I briefly stopped at some show with a nun wearing her habit. I did not recognize this person, but I was curious about a nun on YouTube. So I clicked on the Mother Miriam Highlights YouTube channel during yesterday's fundraiser on September 29th. However, the thing is, when I heard this nun's voice, I knew that voice. It was the same voice that was on a cassette tape that I had, a very old cassette tape. That tape made a profound impact on me, but it was the person who was speaking on that cassette that made the impact on me. That cassette and the lady who was speaking changed my life.
Wow.
All I really want to do is thank this lady, who is now apparently a nun, a wonderful nun. Please, if you would, please show Mother this photo. Please let her know that this cassette has made a major difference in my life. There is so much I would like to say to this wonderful lady, this wonderful nun. Thank you, Daniel. You've changed many, many, many people's lives. Thank you, Mother.
Oh, bless you, Rick. And God, of course, is the only one who changes lives, but he changes them through lives that he has already changed. And that's why we're on Catholic radio with the Station of the Cross, because if you're listening, if God has changed your life through listening to the Station of the Cross, I'm a product of Catholic radio. I think I've told the story several times that I was an evangelical Protestant led to Christ by John MacArthur and part of Grace Community Church for 16 years. And then I went under John MacArthur. He commissioned me at the pulpit, a woman at the pulpit of Grace Community Church. He commissioned me to go out to Yorba Linda Friends Church that his own dad used to pastor and head women's ministries. And I tell you, it was during that time that I, by the grace of God, began to look into the Catholic Church, not because I wanted to become Catholic. The last thing in the world I would want to do. I wanted to save Catholics. But God did such a work in my heart that if I didn't look into the claims of the Catholic Church, I knew I'd be turning from him. And I came across, Rick, a radio program. And it was the first time I ever heard Catholics who knew their faith, because my pastor in the Yorba Linda Friends Church was an ex-Catholic, fallen away Catholic. Half the congregation they called themselves ex-Catholics, who came into a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. None of them ever knew what it was to be Catholic. If you know what it is to be Catholic, you would not leave. That is a statement I will never negate or take back. No one who knows what it is to be Catholic, what the Catholic Church teaches and is in reality, would leave the church. It's leaving Jesus for Judas. Amen. Is what it is, comparable to. Well, this was the first time I ever heard a Catholic. And actually, Rick, they were on an evangelical Protestant station. I was so upset. 1 hour of Catholic teaching on an evangelical Protestant station. I said, what's wrong with them? Don't they want people to be saved? Why would they put a program teaching about Satan's system on an evangelical Protestant station? But it's the first time I heard a Catholic who knew his faith, who knew the scriptures better than most Protestants. And the church gave me their rectory. It was a beautiful little house up on a hill, meant for the pastor, but he had another home with his family, and they gave it to me. And I was in walking distance from the church, and it was a gorgeous house with windows all around, French doors, just gorgeous. But I would go home to listen to that program. I'll tell you, it was on at 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. And you know what I would do, Rick? I would close the blinds of the house so nobody would see me listening to that Catholic station. How stupid can you be? I didn't want anyone to see me listening. And I closed the blinds. And anyone who wanted me to go anywhere with them Saturday afternoon, I'd always say, I have an appointment. I never told them what it was. That gentleman was Patrick Madrid, by the way. And I said, how on earth? I was under John MacArthur. We were non-denominational. I was in the denomination of non-denominationalism. And Patrick, we've met since. He knows that he was part of my journey to the church. I don't think he'll ever know how much a part of my journey he was. I'm so grateful for him. And then Scott Hahn, who was huge, and so many others. St. Joseph Catholic Radio, all of that. And I didn't know Station of the Cross then. But I was put off, Rick, you might know, two radio stations, now that I'm Catholic, because they want vanilla Catholicism. And I said, I didn't spend 51 years of my life searching for truth, coming into the fullness of the faith, which is also the fulfillment of Judaism, for vanilla Catholicism. What is that? And so I wouldn't compromise, and I was put off until the Station of the Cross took me on.